Welcome back to the Dragon's Lair, everybody. My name is Wade, and this is my show, What I Watch, where I talk to you about the movies that I like and the shows that I like to watch. So, obviously, today we are talking about the Blair Witch Project. This is kind of a topic that a lot of people fall on one side or the other. Some people like it, some people don't. Let me tell you a little bit about it. So, it's got a Rotten Tomatoes score of 86% with an audience score of 57. It's rated R. It falls under horror, mystery, thriller. Um, it was directed by Danielle Merrick and co-written and directed by Eduardo Sanchez. Was released on January 25th, 1999. So, like a lot of things that I watch and I'm telling you guys about, it's older for sure. Here's one of the important things. Keep this in mind. It box office grossed $140 million. That doesn't sound like a big thing, but it is a big deal for something that I'll tell you a little bit later. And it's an hour and 27 minutes. There are a couple different names for it. You hear it called the Blair Witch Project or Blair Witch Project, but it's all the same movie. If you're talking about the 1999, there is two sequels. Book of Shadows, I was like about. There's a newer sequel that I enjoyed. It just builds off of the original, which I think is pretty cool. So I give it major points as far as originality goes because it's one of the very first fake documentaries. We're talking about 1999. It's a fake documentary, and I really hope I'm not spoiling anything for you guys, but also it falls under found footage, which in 1999 was a pretty new concept. And even if fake documentary and found footage, even if those weren't new ideas in 1999, here's the point. This is the movie that put those things on the map. And the reason why I'm talking about that is sure, it made $140 million, which might not be a lot in this grand scheme of giant movies, but it only took $35,000 to make. It only took $35,000 to make, and it made $140 million. Okay, so profit margins were insane for this project. Insane. Okay. um, I couldn't write a better synopsis than the synopsis provided by the movie itself. In October of 1994, three student filmmakers disappeared in the woods near Burkittsville, Maryland, while shooting a documentary. A year later, their footage was found. Like I said, uh, the Blair Witch Project is a fake documentary. And the big reason why I repeat that is because some people got confused. So I do want to throw out a warning. There's a ton of swearing in this movie, a lot of F-bombs. So if you're a parent and you care about your young, impressionable children hearing a lot of swearing, maybe you want to skip this one. It is scary. I will definitely say that it is scary. So let's talk about the actors. Mike Williams is in this movie. Heather Donahue, who was arguably like the main character, and then Josh Leonard. Now, here's a really interesting fact. These are like the only three actors in the whole movie. There are people who did interviews as like townspeople, random townspeople, but they're just in the movie for like 2 minutes and then they're gone. So these three actors are in the vast majority of the movie, which is kind of rare. They spend a lot of time out in the woods, so it's a lot of nature. Like I said, kind of rare, unique. It's a unique film. um, so like when I was telling you guys that I stressed that the movie is fake because these people, Josh Leonard, Mike Williams, Heather Donahue, they used their real names. They played themselves in the movie, themselves in the situations that they were in. So much to the point, I don't know about Joshua Leonard or Mike Williams, but there are stories that Heather Donahue's mother got sympathy cards in the mail because people thought the documentary was real and thought that Heather really disappeared in the woods. I don't know about Joshua Leonard or Mike Williams, but I've heard that Heather Donahue's mother got sympathy cards, and none of them died in the woods during the making of this movie. I don't know if any of them have passed away since, but they did not die making the Blair Witch Project. um, it's really cool that there was this meta reality that they played themselves in this situation, and they tried to be honest to themselves. I think their acting is just fine. I mean, nobody's winning any Academy Awards, but their acting was great. There's nothing wrong with their acting. It really is like it really put found footage and fake documentaries on the map, because now there are established genres, and it wouldn't be like that if the Blair Witch Project hadn't been so successful, and I would even say a phenomenon. um, so here's the thing, it's shot with that shaky camera where you're seeing the camera person's perspective. So when they run, you run, and the camera shakes and goes up and down. Some people don't like that. For example, it makes some people like seasick. Like my wife, it gives her motion sickness. And I'll admit, over the years watching Blair Witch Project, because I do watch it a couple times a year, it has made me sick before, so I completely understand that. Some people don't like that perspective either. I share a very special connection to the Blair Witch Project, and go ahead and take a look at some of my videos in Stranger Than Fiction, and then a series that I'm going to make with a friend named Kyle called Let's Get Weird with Kyle and Wade. Anyways, the connection that I have with the Blair Witch Project is I live in Michigan, and I grew up as kind of a farm kid. Point is I've seen some spooky, weird stuff in the woods behind my parents' house. And if you really want me to get into it, I can get into it and explain the whole thing. I do in the first episode of Let's Get Weird with Kyle and Wade. I go into the story in its entirety. But I've seen spooky stuff in the woods. So to watch people who face spooky stuff in the woods, I've got kind of a connection. Like, I guess I can sympathize, I can understand. It's also another reason why I don't go camping. I cannot be protected enough while camping, and that bothers me. So, it's a really unique style. Like it or leave it. You don't also, and I hope I'm not spoiling anything, but at the same time, it's kind of old, and you already know that they go missing. It's interesting and it's unique because you don't really see the antagonist. You spend a lot of time with the protagonists, but you don't really see the antagonist. You definitely hear them or it or whatever it is a lot, and you definitely see the results of its actions, but you don't ever really see it. And that's pretty unique. That's kind of like The Fifth Element, where Gary Oldman and Bruce Willis are never in the same room at the same time. If you've never heard of that, go ahead and check it out. It's one of the only movies like ever made where the antagonist and the protagonist are never meet. They never meet. It gets really close once in an elevator, but it doesn't happen. I think the Blair Witch Project is a wonderful movie to break out once a year in the October season and spooky time. I'm an October baby. I do watch a list of horror movies or scary movies every October to kind of get in the season spirit and celebrate the season. But I just think the Blair Witch Project is sufficiently mysterious and very more than adequately spooky. So I enjoy it, which is why I put it on this list to share with you guys. If you ever want to curl up with a spooky movie and be scared in the dark with a friend or a special someone, you might want to think about the Blair Witch Project. It might even make you think twice about going camping, because stuff is out there, man. I've seen it. Anyways, we here at the Dragon's Lair understand that you can spend your time on the internet anywhere, so we want to say thank you for spending your time here with us at the Dragon's Lair.